Hey, what's up everybody? It's Coach Matt, Elite Throws Coaching, taking you today through week 12. That means we are 1 week away from maxing. But before we go over the concepts of week 12, which is a deload week, I just wanted to remind everybody, YouTube is being a little bit weird lately. We said this in the last video. A lot of people, this channel is about 8 years old. So this channel existed before you had to click a subscribe button, before you had to click the notification bell to get notifications in your inbox. We want to make sure that you guys are seeing these videos every week when they come out. So if you have not done so already, right down the bottom of this video is the subscribe button that you need to click. And right next to that is that little bell icon that you need to click. If you click these, then you will be notified when these videos come out. You'll be notified when a new one comes out. You'll be the first to watch it, and you'll be up to date on everything. Now, going into the next season here, not next week, but the week after, we're going to go all the way back to technique work. So this is kind of beginning to end what you should be doing during your weeks of training with your teams, and what you should be doing if you don't have a coach, so that you can improve your throwing technique this season. So make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, be the first to watch the videos, and help yourself out this season. All right, so week 12, this is our deload week. So what is a deload week? Well, a deload week kind of gets a bad rep in the world of training, because a lot of people think a deload week is unnecessary. A lot of people think a deload week is just a week off or a day off. Really, what a deload week is it's not a week off, but it is a week where we go a little bit easier. You can think of it like a rest week. We are going a little bit easier, but it's for a good reason. First of all, we're using lighter weights. The reason why we're using lighter weights is to let your body recover a little bit. You've been pushing your body more and more and more week by week by week for basically the past 3 months, okay? This is week 12. So the past 11 weeks, you've been increasing weight, you've been pushing yourself. Your body is tired at this point. You might be feeling a little bit fatigued at this point, and we want you fully recovered for your testing week next week. We don't want to continue just beating you with heavy weights and more repetitions every single week, because then you're going to be too fatigued. We want to give you a little bit of a rest so that you are fully recovered and fully rested from when you test next week. It also is going to improve your confidence. What you're going to see today is sort of like last week. We're going to be using lighter weight, but that lighter weight we're going to be moving very quickly, and we want your athletes feeling confident with this weight on their back. That way they feel confident going into next week's testing. If we tried to go higher and higher and higher and keep increasing that percentage, last week we did 105. Say we tried to do 110% and they failed, well, they're going to feel terrible going into next week. We don't want any failures. We don't want any misses. We don't want anything like that happening this week. Next week is when we're really going to push ourselves. This week is when we rest. It's also going to help them to visualize some big things. So if they leave the weight room, if they leave the training session feeling awesome, they're going to be thinking about last week when they had 105% on their back and they absolutely killed it. And they're going to be visualizing next week, testing week, confident, visualizing big things, visualizing big weights, and going into next week feeling awesome about themselves. So that's really the point of a deload week. It's going to give them a little bit of a rest. We're still going to be lifting, we're still going to be using weight, but it's just not as heavy as it normally would be. It's going to improve confidence. It's going to help them to visualize next week being a confident, morale boosting, ego boosting week. That's what we're trying out for here. So make sure, guys, when you see in the next video, don't adjust it. Don't try to put your own spin on it. Don't try to go heavier than what's in the next couple of parts of this video. Follow it along exactly how it is. Even if it seems easy, it's going to be worth it for you and for your athletes to go a little bit easier. It's going to pay off next week when we put a lot of heavy weight on our back. Just like last week, day 1 and day 2 are going to be following the same structure. They're going to be following the same pattern, and they're going to look very similar. Day 3 is a little bit different. So on day 1, is our squat day. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking what we did last week. So look back at week 11. Look back at last week. We did 105% of our 2-rep max. Now, all of your athletes should have hit this for that single repetition. Should have been pretty simple to do because it's only 5% heavier than their heaviest double. So it should not have been a problem. Say, for example, that number was 300 pounds. Again, just for the sake of easy math, say it was 300 pounds. What you're going to do is take 75% of 300 pounds, which in this case is 225 pounds. So it's 0.75 times whatever the number was. And you're going to do that for 3 sets of 3 repetitions. Now you're going to work up to that. Here's what it looks like. You're going to take the bar maybe for 10. This is at least how I would do it if I was going to do 3 sets of 3 at 225. I would do the bar for 10 easy repetitions. Just again, form, technique, get the movement down, really simple. 95 pounds for 5 reps. 135 pounds for 5 reps. 185 maybe for very easy 3. And then 225 for 3 sets of 3. Okay, so 3 sets of 3. It's going to feel very simple. They're going to feel like, man, I could probably do this for 8. They maybe want to put more weight on the bar. They're maybe going to want to do more repetitions. It's going to feel like it's too simple. It's going to feel like it's too easy. That's how we want it to feel. That is a good thing. We want it to feel easy. We want it to feel good because it is a good amount of weight. It's 75%, which is not super light, but it's a weight that they're going to be able to move quickly. They're going to be able to move it with a lot of power, with a lot of speed, good form, good technique. Again, it's going to give them a rest, but it's also going to have them confident going into next week. Okay, so it's very important. Don't let them go heavier. Don't let them do more work than it says here on the board. Just do what's up here. Give them the rest. They're not going to want it, but give it to them. After that, we have body weight lunges. I like the reverse lunge where you're actually taking a step backward. Reverse lunges, number one, they don't take up as much room as a walking lunge would take up or a barbell lunge where you have to share barbells. But reverse lunges also give you a big stretch in the hip flexor. So if you take a big enough step backwards, when you go to put that knee down to the ground, you're going to feel a stretch just like you did with the lunge and reach that we've been doing in our warm-up the past couple of weeks, and actually in our workout the past couple of weeks. After that, we have some type of a chest-supported row. So what I like to do is set up an incline dumbbell bench, and then I'll lay face down on the incline dumbbell bench with a dumbbell in each hand. And I will do a chest-supported row that way. Okay, so if you don't have a chest-supported row machine, the tendency is, well, let's just do, a bent over dumbbell row. Let's do a bent over barbell row. The problem is that's going to put a lot of pressure on their lower back, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on their hamstrings. And we want those healthy. We want those feeling good. We don't want those sore or fatigued because, again, it's a rest day. So a chest-supported row option or a chest-supported row machine is going to work out really, really well. All right, and that takes care of day one. So you can see not a whole ton of work, not a whole lot of stuff that we're asking them to do, but they're going to be leaving feeling fresh. They're going to be leaving the weight room feeling good and confident about next week. All right, so let's go on, talk about day 2, which is very similar to day 1, but we're going to show you what it looks like, explain it all to you. That way you guys have a really good week in the gym. Okay, day 2, very similar to day 1. Here's what it looks like. We're going to, again, take week 11's 105% of our 2-rep max. Again, look back at what you did last week, week 11. Say, for example, you did 200 pounds. Again, easy math, 200 pounds. We're going to take 75% of that number. So we're going to take 150 pounds. We're going to do that for 3 sets of 3. Now, you can build up to this any way that you want. You can do the bar for 10 repetitions. That's normally how I start everything. The bar for 10 repetitions. And then you can do, maybe, 85 pounds for, 5 repetitions, something like that. Then maybe go up to 110, 115. And then go up to 150. You can take small jumps, big jumps, doesn't really matter. Just figure out what works best for you. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Just take smaller jumps, work up, make sure it feels good. Don't just throw 150 pounds in the bar and do 3 sets of 3. Work up to it, get warmed up, take plenty of steps in between, and then you're going to be ready for it. Okay, we don't need an injury or anything like that happening this week. We just want to ease into our training. After that, pull down or pull up. Again, look back to what you've done this entire season. Maybe you've done a lot of pull-ups. Maybe you've done a lot of pull-downs, close grip pull-downs, or different types of attachments on a pull-down machine. Maybe you have some type of a plate-loaded machine at your gym. I don't really know. Whatever you've been doing, don't change it up and do something different. Do what you would normally do, and we're going to be doing 3 sets of 10. After that, tricep extensions. We've done a lot of tricep extensions here during the past 12 weeks. Maybe it's a rope press down. Maybe it's another type of straight bar press down, maybe it's some type of dumbbell extension, rolling dumbbell extension, Tate press, whatever it is. Maybe it's a dumbbell extension from the floor, behind the head from the floor. Doesn't really matter to me, but do 3 sets of 10. Just make sure that these exercises here are exercises that you've done before. You don't want to introduce anything new to your athletes on a deload week because it might make them extra sore. Make sure it's exercises that they've done before. Make sure they're not going crazy heavy with this where they're, barely able to get 10 reps. Make it an easy set of 10, something they could do for 11 or 12. You're just having them do it for 10. All right, so that takes care of squat day and bench day, and now we're going to move on to deadlift day. Okay, last but not least, we have our deadlift day. Now, deadlift day, day 3, as you can see, there are no deadlifts. So why don't I have any type of deadlift movement on deadlift day? Well, pretty simple. Number one, most of us are probably doing a 3-day split, which is typically going to be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we squat on Monday, bench on Wednesday, deadlift on Friday. That's how a lot of people have emailed me that they're doing it. Sometimes they save the 3rd day for Saturday. That way they can sleep in a little bit, rest, and then Saturday they deadlift. Here's the problem. Deadlifting taxes your hamstrings and your lower back and your glutes and your hips, okay? Those are things that you need when you squat. So if you are going to be going heavy, doing deadlifts on Friday or Saturday, and then you're going to be doing your testing on squat day on that Monday, it's not really enough time between deadlift and squat. You might still be a little bit sore. You might still be a little bit fatigued. I definitely don't want anybody tweaking their lower back or doing anything crazy. And a lot of times when you go to a lighter weight, like if you go to 70% or 60% of what you did last week, the tendency is that you don't focus as much on the technique and you just start yanking the thing. So I don't want you guys to get hurt at all or injured or fatigued or tweak anything right before you test. So for that reason, there's no deadlifting this week. What I would like to see is a small circuit consisting of some rowing and some stretching. So the first thing I like to do is a dumbbell bent over row. We're going to do about 10 repetitions on the weak arm and then 10 repetitions on the strong arm. After that, we're going to do bird dogs, dead bugs, and then the lunge and reach. All 3 of those are in the warm-up, which is going to pop up right now that you guys can click. So the bird dogs are going to be a big stretch for the lower back. The dead bugs are going to be a big stretch for the hips and the lower back. And the lunge and reach is also a really big stretch for your hip flexors. Okay, so these are things that I want to see that are mobile and flexible and feeling good and feeling healthy for your testing week. We don't want you to wake up on Sunday or Monday and still feel like garbage because you went too heavy pulling a bunch of heavy deadlifts. You didn't do any stretching, you didn't do any work on Friday to get stretched out or get more limber or to feel good. So all of a sudden now you feel like junk and you're supposed to be testing on Monday and you're just feeling awful. Remember, the hay is in the barn. I hate that saying, but the hay is in the barn. We've been working for the past 11 weeks with heavier weight, pushing ourselves, being smart, being safe. Let's not throw it all in the garbage right now by trying to go too heavy, 2 or 3 days before we're supposed to be testing our max squat. All right, so that's what I got for you this week. Big thing is that we want to rest. We want the body feeling good so that on Monday when we start our testing, we are 100%. The tank is full. We are not running on empty. We are not injured. We are not overly fatigued. We have not tweaked our lower backs. We do not have sore knees. Everything feels good. All right, so that's what I got for you this week. Next week we test, and then the week after that we start a whole new video series talking about form and technique for the throwing events. And I really hope you guys check us out, subscribe. The little button is going to pop up right here to subscribe. You can either click that or click right down below this video, and you can check out previous videos here that just popped up as well to help you out to become better throwers. All right, thanks so much for following us along on that journey. Click that little subscribe button that just popped up, and I will talk to you guys all next week.